Hello everyone, long time no see. Sorry I've been gone for so long, life got a little bit in the way, but I found a way to film and keep a schedule, and that is called While I'm Getting Ready for Work. So here we are at 6:30 in the morning. My skin is in need of some luminosity, but so are my teeth. So I'm going to start with some Whitening Lightning, the Super Booster pen. It's kind of like a Stila lip glaze, and you just go ahead and dry your teeth with a tissue. Make sure that you get all moisture off there. I did one click on the pen and it's excellent. You can apply it exactly where you want. I make sure to get it in between my teeth too, because you don't want any kind of shadow that's cast. And it doesn't affect sensitivity at all. I'm able to keep it away from those problem areas. And in only 2 uses, I've noticed quite a difference already. And once I'm done applying that, you have to keep your mouth open for 60 seconds, and I'm trying to help it dry. You don't want to let your lips touch your teeth. So now I'm going to apply my primer, which is my L'Oreal Magic Lumi Light Infusing Primer. Try and put some of that luminosity I'm looking for in my skin. The real trick here, though, is trying to apply it while keeping my mouth open. Probably not the smartest idea, and it made for some really attractive faces for you guys to see. Next, I'm going to move right on to my Urban Decay Original Eyeshadow Primer Potion. I recently heard from a MAC rep that this stuff works way better under your eye than it even does on top of your eyelid. It really helps to set a base for under eye concealer so that it doesn't fall into fine lines and wrinkles. And I've been trying it for the last couple of weeks, and she is absolutely right. Next, I'm going to use my Makeup Forever HD. I'm in shade 123. And then I'm going to use my Sigma F80 Flat Top Kabuki. This brush has literally changed my life. It definitely helps to buff your foundation on, make it look totally airbrushed. I walk away without any little lines or marks in my foundation, and it's really, really easy to use and apply. And just so you know, I did one pump and this stuff spreads out excellent. The foundation, it is buildable, and some days I do go back in and do a second layer, but on this day I decided I just wanted one layer because my skin was not looking so bad as far as breakouts and marks. I do have some scarring, but it definitely covered enough that I didn't need any other layers on top. And just as a side note in the video, this is not my normal background. Because it is so stark white, the color changes back and forth. I apologize. Please bear with me while I figure this all out. And because the background is so white, it makes the foundation look yellow at times, but I guarantee you it is a perfect match to my skin color. And as you can see, I first just kind of buffed it on, patted it in. That's the way I spread my foundation around. And then once it's spread around really well and kind of buffed in to a nice little bit of a layer, then I go in and I use different strokes, but always with circular motion, whether it's large or small, just to ensure that I have an airbrush look to my foundation, that I don't put straight strokes into it that leave kind of that mark that you could see where it breaks up the foundation on your skin. Next, I'm going to be using my NYX Above and Beyond Full Coverage Concealer in yellow. It's a correcting concealer. I happen to have more purple under eye circles, so the yellow cancels that out. My feedback on this, I've only used it a few times. I'm really not a huge fan. It's a very thick concealer, has a really difficult consistency, very streaky, very hard to spread out. And even though I use moistening foundations, like the HD is not a dry foundation, it definitely sticks and doesn't spread that well. So I'm trying to play around with it and figure out other options. But it does cancel out the circles, so I'm torn. And I'm going to go right ahead with my Maybelline Age Rewind. This is in the brightening shade, so it's a pink even though it doesn't show true on camera. I just make triangles underneath my eyes. I want to brighten the area, but I still do want to conceal fine lines and wrinkles. So I take my MAC Pro Longwear Concealer. This is an NW20, and I take a little bit. That's the face of somebody who cannot control the amount of concealer coming out, which I think is anybody who uses it on any morning. They really need to change the way that this comes out. but I definitely did just one dot on my hand, and now I make use of all the product. So I dotted underneath my eyes with my finger. I haven't worked it in yet. I do use it on my eyelids as a primer. For me, I do need to pat some powder over it, otherwise it will crease, but it has been working out really well. What I do is I kind of spread it around my face, and as you can see, periodically come back and just start to warm that product up with my finger. I'm also going to take a little bit, even though it's 2 shades lighter than I would wear in foundation by MAC, it's still a shade where it doesn't stand out like a sore thumb if I put it on my face to cover any spotting or scars. So this morning I was covering some scarring from acne on my chin, and of course, since I'm a klutz, I do still have a scar from a curling iron burn on my cheek, which I will put it on after my forehead. My forehead I just dotted on. This is just for highlighting down the center of my face. I kind of leave all the product, and you can see it's very attractive. And then I go back in and I start to warm it up with my fingers and work it in. I kind of let it all sit on my skin a little bit so it warms itself up so that it's even more pliable when I go in with my finger. And then I take my Real Techniques complexion sponge. I forgot the full name of it, I apologize, but it's the orange one with the flat side. I moisturize mine, or moisten mine, in the morning with my MAC Fix Plus. The reason why is because it just makes the product even more slippery on my skin. I find with water, some of it can get a little bit tacky, it can stick a little bit, but with the Fix Plus, it kind of all just glides around and creates a much, not a sheerer coverage, but it almost feels like a sheerer coverage. It makes it look a little bit more natural than it would with water, not as cakey, but it definitely gives me the coverage still that I need. So I just work it under my eye. I'm trying to blend out that line. I'm trying to make it sheer on my eyelids. And I do turn the sponge around at multiple times and use the different sides of it. I absolutely love this sponge. I love it way more than the Beauty Blender. And at $5.99, it is a fraction of the price. And when it starts to dry up a little bit, I just spray a little bit more Fix Plus, and now we're not as tacky. And I'm white as a ghost. So I take my Kabuki, my F80 flat top, and I go right back in where that line is from the brightening concealer from Maybelline and just kind of blend that out. I'm going to take a brush from BH Cosmetics with emphasized sculpting powder from MAC, and I just put that under my eye. It kind of helps the concealer to set, and the reason why I didn't hold the product up is because if you notice, the light behind me goes on and off. My husband was walking around getting dressed and decided that while I was showing the product would be a good time to stand in the doorway in his boxers, so I didn't think you all wanted to see that. And I'm going to start my brows with Anastasia Dip Brow Pomade in dark brown with a brush from Walmart that was cheap as anything, and I don't remember the name of the brand. I haven't been able to find it at every Walmart, but it's really, really thin, the slanted angle part, and that the spoolie is phenomenal. It's strong enough that it works the product through, but it's not one of those that spreads it around and puts it in places you don't want it. So I kind of just dip the brush in a little bit, get a little bit of product. I can wipe it off on the side of the jar, and I always start with the end of my brow because that's what I want the darkest, and then I try and fade it as I get to the inner corner. Right now I'm trying to grow my brows out, so my shape is a little difficult, and I turn the brush around so that I can do vertical strokes so it's a little bit more natural in the inner corner. But this stuff is phenomenal. It's hard to work with at first, I'm not gonna lie, but I got used to it and now I love it. So now the brows are done, and I am using my MAC cream color base in the shade Shell. Sorry, it's like a tongue twister. This is a sheer pink curl color, so I just put it on as a base for highlight, and I follow that with my NYX Set It, Don't Fret It matte finishing powder. It's a mineral powder. I use medium dark. There's either light medium or medium dark, and the light medium is way too light. So I just take a little bit of this, I pat my brush off and kind of work it into my skin with a Real Techniques powder brush. And then I'm getting a little too involved in my chocolate palette, going ahead and setting a base with the white chocolate from Too Faced chocolate palette. I'm putting this all over my lid with a Real Techniques brush. It's in their eyeshadow set. This stuff smells phenomenal. It absolutely wakes you up. That is a brush that I got from eBay, so I apologize. It came from China. I don't even know the name of it, but I absolutely love the set. And the shade that I pointed out is Salted Caramel from the same palette. This is a great transition shade. Next, I'm going to go in with milk chocolate and my Sigma E45. And what I'm doing is, instead of just working on the outer edge of my eye, like the outside portion or the outer 2/3, I'm actually going in all the way. I kind of wanted to create that shadow on the inner corner of my eye. And this is like a transition for my transition color. Next, I'm going to go in with marzipan, and that is my MAC 242, which is excellent, sorry, for pressing in something that you want pigmented. And as you can see, I left myself with like a little semicircle, half moon shape on my lid. So I'm just taking that product and I'm patting it. I'm not necessarily rubbing it. I always start by patting it all over. I do take it though and kind of rub it across the base of the crease where I want that line to end. And then I'm just going to go ahead and do both eyes. Now what I do is I take the Sigma brush, go right back over without more product and blend in the edge of the marzipan, and then go back to the eBay brush and do the same thing above that. Now I'm using, this is a Makeup Geek brush. This is called the Stiff Dome Brush. These are so cheap and so phenomenal. I absolutely love her brushes. You have to check it out. I think this brush was maybe $6 or $7.99, and I'm using that with the hazelnut, which is in the lower left corner. It's just like a really rich bronze frost. It's not necessarily like a chocolate, it's more like a bronze, but it has a little bit of a chocolate undertone, and this I'm only putting on the outer edge of my eye. And then I just go right back in with the other brushes. You could see I did a little bit of marzipan once again on the lid. This is just an Eco Tools brush from Walmart, very cheap, very simple, using champagne truffle as my highlight just right under the brow bone and right on the inner corner. I still keep some of that darkness from going across, but it definitely lightens it up a little bit. And I'm just sticking my finger into the shade Creme Brulee, which is a gold tone, and just patting it right on the center of each lid for a little bit of extra depth. Now I'm going to take a small Eco Tools brush. This is like a stiff little liner brush, but it's a little bit wider. And I'm going to go in with hazelnut and just use that to kind of blend from the outer corner of my eye where I used hazelnut on top. Bring it across 2/3 on the bottom. Taking the same brush, once I wiped it off, went into Creme Brulee, and I'm bringing that from the inner corner. I'm taking my MAC pencil brush. I'm sorry, don't have the number because it wore off. I put that in the salted caramel a little bit, and I'm just bringing it across the bottom to blend it. Here is my Physicians Formula. This is the black liner with the eyelash serum, and this is my first makeup tutorial video, so I apologize. I will get better at not completely blocking the view of what I'm doing, but it's going to be like a magic trick. If you pay close attention through the rest of the video, you will see that with each segment, my wings grow more and more and more, because as I did different steps, I realized they weren't even. So I kept going in and fixing it, but I took those seams out. So my wings are going to be pretty nice looking here. Then I'll realize that they're uneven later on, and they'll get longer and longer and longer. This eyeliner is phenomenal though, really, really easy and versatile pen tip to it. It's a felt tip and stays on all day, super black, really, really, really easy to work with because it has a really nice sharp point too. And eyeliner's done, ta-da! Checking it out, looks even for the moment. And now I'm just going to take, this is the L'Oreal Sakissimi, I hope I'm saying that right. This is the highlight shade. It's just like a frosted pink. I just use it in my my waterline. And I'm going in with the Bahama Mama, sorry. This brush doesn't really have a name. It's from a Sephora set. I did a video on it, a review on it. It's dual purpose brushes. It's kind of flat like the NARS Ida, which I can't get my hands on. So everything looks a little sharp. It looks like it's not blended well. It actually is, but I'm going to go over it later anyway. This is NYX Illuminator and Ritualistic. It's kind of like, I guess you could say like a champagne-y color, maybe just a little bit more gold. I do my highlight before my blush, which is going to be the Too Faced Sweetheart's Perfect Flush Blush in Something About Berry. And this is a Real Techniques blush brush. I just kind of pat it on and then do circular motions. Afterwards, I'm going to use my Kardashian Beauty Cabana Bronze. I absolutely am obsessed with this bronzer. It is so natural, really soft looking. You'll see it's going to blend in what I did, but it's just enough to warm up the skin. I absolutely love it. And I'm just going to take my Anastasia Brow Fix Gel. This is in the color Brunette. When I use the dark brown, some days I feel it comes out just a little bit too dark. So I do go ahead and put this on. It kind of lightens it up. You may be able to see the difference between the two brows, but it's not too light, just a little bit more natural. And then I'm going to curl my eyelashes. That's an absolute must on a daily basis. I'm going to go in with Maybelline Lash Discovery. It's a teeny tiny brush. It's waterproof. This is kind of, to me, like the Clinique bottom lash brush or the bottom lash mascara. So I just work it into the root on top. I don't take it through the ends. I use it completely on the bottom because it's really, really pliable. I can do whatever I need to do to my bottom lashes. But on the top, it's just a base. I just use it for separation. And then I'm going to go in with Tarte Lights Camera Lashes. As you can see, I roll it from the top to cover any sign of shadow that may have fallen. This also is really easy to work with. For an everyday mascara, this would be enough. I absolutely love it, but when I want a little bit more, especially with winged liner, I go in on top with something, and today it's going to be the L'Oreal Voluminous in Carbon Black. Definitely gives a little bit more volume and definition. And I'm just going to set everything with some Max Fix Plus, put some luminosity back in my skin. I'm going in with the Jordana lip liner in the color Tawny. It's kind of like My Lips, but better. I have a pretty rich colored, natural coloring to my lips, very red tone to them. So I'm going to go over with MAC Plumful. It's a luster shade, and this is definitely like your natural lips, but better. I am in love with this color. Same MAC rep helped me. And that is it. This is the final look. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you soon.